did 100 of them. I can tell you exactly for me what I used to do as soon as they say that's our show, I would go back and take me about 2 minutes to get back to the camera room where we'd have a couple of beers set up for the guys, have a couple of beers and go home. That night, there were so many people on the floor, it took me approximately 20 minutes to get back to the camera room. I mean, there was hundreds and I don't know thousands, but there were hundreds and hundreds of people just to come for that last episode to see the last time. It was quite tearful too. The friends, they were just freaked out. I think it was all 6 of them were about the same. They were all, hugging and crying and they, of course, they went from nobodies to huge in 10 years, know.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was watching the Ellen show today, and Jennifer was on it, and they were showing I don't know, you probably heard about Jimmy Burrows taking the 6 of them to Vegas after the end of the first year. Hear that story and saying, here's, where you go out, here's a couple $100 because you'll never be able to go out and be anonymous again. And that was true. They just went right to the ceiling. It was quite a night. It was quite incredible.
Ya sé que nadie te advirtió cómo iba a ser. Laburo duro, el sueldo no llega a fin de mes. Pampa y la vía sin tener un plan. Menos hojas en el calendario, el tiempo no vuelve más. Vos fuma que todo esté gris. Vos fuma que todo, como siempre y hasta el fin. Vos fuma que todo, y de banco a morir.
Más allá de que nunca hubo un regreso de la serie, tampoco vimos reversiones como sí se ha visto con otras producciones como Mad About You o como pudo ser también con Casados con Hijos. Por eso era importante que la serie fuera lo más universal posible.
I think the fact that it's on in every country, that's Friends. The version you're seeing, that's Friends.
Martin Hoffman, which is one of our executive producers and creators, she said to me, Paul, Friends is in 54 countries. And then later, of course, it was in many more countries than that. But she says, Friends is in 54 countries, and many of those countries, they don't speak English. So maybe you can make sure that it doesn't have any words in it. Which was a good idea, a wonderful suggestion. And it was fine with me because I didn't really like putting words on it.
I just got a letter yesterday from a woman from Africa saying that she had just, for the first time, watched Friends. And it just makes me cry to think of it. And she said that she now, here it is, how many years later? Friends has been off the air for 10 years more. Obviously, it's still out there. So she said it's the first time. So she said, Lise says, now I've got hope that I can finally marry my girlfriend. She finally has hope. Here it is, 14 years after the show is no longer on the air, and she's seeing this and feeling hopeful that she can marry the love of her life.
Yeah.
What more could anyone want? You want people to be able to marry who they want to marry, right?
It was all really fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. That's what I think that's what the series was why it was so successful, because it was really a good chemistry between people and good writing and a good moment because I think there was the right moment for a series like that to be made, sort of thing. So you have to be lucky that all those things combine.
Back then, the paradigm for a sitcom relationship was Sam and Diane of Cheers. So we tried to make ours different than Sam and Diane. After we did it, and you always think there's nothing left to do. You always look and it's like there's no more stories left to tell. And after we did it, people would look at who's Ross and Rachel. Like, what's our Ross and Rachel? So that became the paradigm.
Oh my God, did she get off the plane? Did she get off the plane? I got off the plane.
They showed you the keys, but then they kept panning over and went to the door. And I was pissed off about that because I wanted to end the show on the keys. But Kevin Bright was directing, and of course the director gets the final say. But he said, no, we're going to go over, pan on the door. The keys, the 5 or 6, I guess it was 6 keys there.
Yeah.
That to me would have been a much better ending. But the director outweighs the cinematographer.
Door is always a problem. I said, Greg, I don't know what to do with this door. What can we do to make it interesting? I said, in New York, usually on the back of your door, you have your peephole. You have the little thing that you ring, like your phone, your the ringer to let people know you're there. I said, but usually lots of times you put hooks on the door. I said, maybe we could just decorate the back of the door with all the things that they need when they go outside. And he thought about it, and the next day he came over to me and said, I have this idea about the door. And he showed me this picture frame, and he said, what about this? And he held it up on the door over the peephole. And I said, well, I think that's really adorable.
Yeah.
That's fun. Let's stick it up there and see if everybody likes it. And everybody liked it.
Yeah.
So, it became a real trademark for the show.
Entre las tantas fantasías de los fanáticos de la serie siempre estuvo que hubiera más capítulos, que hubiera más temporadas, algún regreso y por qué no una película. Pero ¿qué es lo que dicen? ¿Estuvo la chance alguna vez de que hubiera más capítulos de Friends?
At the time, I think everyone felt it was time. The stories had been told, and it's better to go out on top than to dwindle out.
I never heard that, however. I stayed on for 2 years and I did the spin-off with Matt LeBlanc. I did 2 years of that. So that we kind of knew we were going to keep going on that.
10 years is an enormous run for a show, and all of our performers really wanted to be able to do other things. They really already did this for so long, they will forever be identified as, friends.
You know what, it was great the way it was, and unless you can do it better, don't do it. And, it was also very much about a time in the characters' lives where you're just out of school and you haven't gotten married yet and you're trying to figure out your life and your friends or your family was the pitch. And you know what? Now that all the actors are in their 50s, it's a different show.
One of the great things about David, one of the things I learned, I try to learn from every showrunner I've worked with so I can, be the best showrunner I can be. And one of the things that David had a very strong sense of story, but he was very good at picking out good ideas from other people and throwing them into the process that's the room. And because the room has its own energy, and that's what the best showrunners do. The best showrunners know what they want to do, and they also are able to take other people's ideas.
Environment that we created was a happy place, and I think it's important in our world that we get to sometimes turn on the TV and see something happy and fun, and it means a lot because for everyone in the world who watches an episode of Friends, that's some time in their life that they can relax and stop being anxious and worried about all the terrible things that are going on in this world. And I think the writers kind of wanted to do the same thing with their writing about these characters, and what they wrote about certainly is common experience for many people who were in their 20s and 30s growing up and seeing what the world is like and how they have to be friends and what friendship means. So that's great.
There were all these quotes and all of these tweets that they were showing and sharing with us that we had never seen because Justin and I have been really busy since we left the show, and so we don't really pay attention to that stuff. So this is new information to me just last year. The homophobic quote, and literally when that came to me, I'm like, what? Tell me why it's homophobic, because some of the jokes about Ross or some of the oh my goodness sakes. So first of all, the fact that they think that it's homophobic, I find hilarious. But the truth is that they're poking fun at homophobia. They're not promoting it. We're showing that how ridiculous it is to have any kind of phobia.
Más allá de que es una serie que no ha sido tan reconocida por la crítica, apenas un Globo de Oro para Jennifer Aniston y un puñado de Emmys, es una serie que siempre ha tenido mucho reconocimiento de la gente. 236 capítulos que no importa cuántas veces lo vean, siempre se van a reír. Podés verlo una y otra vez, el mismo episodio, el mismo momento, que lo vas a disfrutar igual.
Matt was really concerned that magnitude might fall into the wrong hands. And he says, no, Paul needs to get that because he was the guy that drew most all of them. So that was really sweet of him to make sure that he personally went down there and made sure that it got into my hand.
Well, the interesting thing, it was after Friends, and we were doing Joey, and I looked up, and Jennifer was up by her old dressing room. And I said, what the hell are you doing here? She said, this has been 10 years of my life. I can't stand not being here.
Calendario, el tiempo no vuelve más. Fuma que todo esté gris. Fuma que todo, como siempre y hasta el fin. Fuma que todo, y de banco a morir.
People have noted that the set seems like it was too big of an apartment and people couldn't afford to live in it. But I have to remind people that it was a 6th floor walk-up. Now, if you have no elevator and you have to walk up 6 flights of stairs, the apartments in New York are always cheaper.